everybody, and welcome to another episode of Eating at a Meeting. And if you saw my post about this episode, which was posted this morning, I am, and if you saw my newsletter last week, the next couple of weeks, I am going to be focusing on programs and organizations that are feeding the people in our communities in which we meet. The meetings industry produces a lot of food for the conventions that we serve, and we have a lot of surplus food that we get from that is prepared but unserved. And so I'm going to talk to individuals and organizations over the next couple of weeks through the end of the year about how they're helping rescue that food from our venues, our convention centers and hotels, to feed the people in the community. So today I'm starting off with this gentleman right here. I do my fingers wrong the whole time. Bobby Williams is the founder of the Freedom Tour, which is a mobile food rescue organization feeding tens of thousands of Floridians each month through community partnerships, school pop-ups, disaster response operations. And when I asked the Orange County Convention Center for a recommendation of who they partner with, they were the first name. Bobby and the Freedom Tour are the first names that they gave me. So welcome to the show, Bobby.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So let's talk about the number that you said just before we started online. How much food did you rescue last year?
22.5 million pounds.
22.5 million pounds. Wow. And you're feeding people, like you've picked it up at the Orange County Convention Center, but you're in Polk County, Florida. Do you distribute that food all over Florida, or are you centralized in a specific area?
We're more Central Florida. We're Polk County,
Okay.
Lake Wells, Winter Haven, cities around Polk County. But obviously when a hurricane hits, we're all over the state of Florida.
Okay. And so you've done all kinds of disaster response, feeding people during disaster response, but you also feed people on a daily basis, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Well, we call food disaster relief, and some people think disaster, especially in Florida, is a hurricane, but people have disasters every day, and it's just some of them are minimum, some of them are bigger than the others, but, people are struggling, and the biggest way we can help them, is we can help them with any kind of food expense.
Right. Well, and it does. I'm sure it does. And just before we started too, we were talking about the numbers of people that you saw during COVID and actually now and then on a daily basis. But can you talk about the numbers of people that you see in the locations that you drop this food off?
Yeah, during COVID was insane, because there was just such a panic and grocery stores not having food and, just the fear of everything. So we were feeding 1,500 people a day during COVID. Like I said, that was insane numbers. So right now we do, and from COVID, it actually created, we created our drive-through systems because really prior to COVID, it was walk up. Most people, every food pantry everywhere was just walk up. People come, walk, wait in line and do that. And there's two things that goes along with that. One was, it created more volume, more people, but it really took the stigmatism away from people waiting in line. It kind of got to where it's kind of like a McDonald's drive-through, like everybody's doing it. I mean, you got all the kinds of different types, especially COVID. I mean, you were touching the middle class, all different classes of people were getting touched during COVID because, you couldn't just go to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, you don't know what's going to be at the grocery store. And hey, they're giving good food out here at this place, it's kind of deal. And so that created, really where we are today. I mean, we do a lot of food drives, pretty much one almost every day, but anywhere from 150 to 300 cars,
Wow.
Then obviously it's been averaging about that. Well, now, the government shutdown, they've almost all locations almost doubled.
Wow. And you said that it hasn't actually, because the shutdown has been stopped, but the numbers are still there. The people are still there.
Yeah. Like I said, that even though really, and that's where, I don't know if it's comfortability, or they realize, hey, I can get food from here. Or like I said, it's almost just society accessible,
Mm-hmm.
or not accessible, but it's okay to do it. It ain't frowned upon in a sense, I guess, that people want to do that. But no, it's like I said, government's back open, but the lines are still longer than they were before.
Okay. So let's go back to how this all started. Because what I read is that you started it in your carport feeding a handful of families. What was the turning point when you realized that this could become a full-scale food relief operation? And was there a specific incident that instigated that, or you just saw the need?
Well, it's really COVID. I mean, we started out feeding 5 to 10 people under a carport, and it grew to about 100, and we were about 100 a week. And we thought, we actually went from 5 to 10 to 100, and we thought we were it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Uh-huh.
man, this is it. We're feeding 100 people. And, we pray for people. Then we started seeing lives change and make a difference in impacting the community, impacting lives.
Hmm.
Then COVID hit. And the difference with COVID was, food's always, people know that there's a shortage of food sometimes. A lot of people don't know that. They don't understand. A lot of kids go without food. Only time they eat is at schools. They don't understand the single moms that struggle, or even not a single mom, just the people who struggle every day. So when COVID hit, food come to the forefront. It was the number one issue, number one thing. Everybody was talking about it. And so it made access to food huge.
Hmm.
So we went from maybe doing a semi-load a month, semi-load every couple months, to 6 to 10 semi-loads a day during COVID.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it kind of exploded from that. And really it's gone down this last year. It's this past year, 2025, really we've seen the numbers decrease as in
Okay.
accessibility. Up until then, it's been, like I said, last year was 22.5. The year before that, I think we did 20 million. The year before that, we did 18 million. But this year, we're probably going to be 14, 15, maybe. I don't know, sure.
Okay.
It's not near as high accessibility. But government shutdown,
Mhm.
these things happen and people say, okay, it brings it back to the forefront. So we'll
Right.
see.
Okay. I mean, that's still a lot of food. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And you're feeding millions of people. Now, when you go to the Orange County Convention Center and you collect food, is it food that's been prepared but unserved? In what kind of things are you picking up from them? And then what other types of organizations do you pick up from?
Yeah, the convention center, actually, it's a array of stuff. We get frozen and refrigerated, some sandwiches pre-made, fruits, vegetables, vegetable cups, drinks, all kind of stuff. So it's a big variety of stuff we get. And it's anywhere from 2 pallets to sometimes 15, 20 pallets.
Okay.
So it's a huge blessing for us, but we make every bit of it work. Then we're in like Pepsi Cola, which owns Quakers. We're in Quaker. We're in Coca-Cola, which owns Simple Life. So we get our orange juice, milks from them, different kind of fruit drinks. Walgreens is a huge contributor of ours. They give us a lot of product,
Hmm.
snacks, cookies, cereals. Sometimes we get pancake mix, different things. Whatever you see in Walgreens shelf, we get a lot of that. Then a lot of it we're in warehouses. So you got cold storage, frozen storage places,
Okay.
and things get damaged,
Hmm.
or they're going close out of date or out of date, that kind of stuff. We
Right.
take it. Then another big thing we get is called rejected loads. So a semi pull into a Walmart warehouse or a
Hmm.
Publix warehouse, and one or two pallets might be damaged, or one or two boxes might be damaged, but they have right to reject that whole semi load. Or maybe the temperature's off. So we'll just say it's supposed to be 34 degrees. We've had this lately. A lot of loads coming out of California to Florida, and they get here and they got monitors in them, and they say, "Hey, it's supposed to be at 34 the whole time. We went to 42." Well, they're like, "We don't want it." Well, so then they're calling us, and we'll take it. We'll take anything and everything, so and make it work.
And sometimes, and I've seen stories about this too. It's like it may be just one box that's been
Yeah,
damaged, right?
yeah.
And
It's one box damaged.
they
I
like
mean,
take the whole pallet and say, no, we can't take it.
that was not the whole pallet, the whole thing. They reject the whole semi load, so the whole load.
Wow.
So we've
That's
had them to
mind
where,
boggling.
especially your produce. Your produce they try to stack so high that they'll tip over. Going around corners, whatever. Not that.
Hmm.
So once one's tilt and fell, they go, "We don't want the whole deal." Which, like I said, here the other night, it was 7 o'clock at night. I got a phone call with 3 semi loads, and it was like celery, lettuce, mixed vegetables, um, spinach, a lot of green. It's fresh produce out of California, but
Hmm.
3 of them come in, and they the people warehouse. Their excuse was it was out of temperature. The truck drivers were kind of told they were full; they had no room for it, so they just go ahead and reject them. But either
Wow.
way, it didn't matter to me. It's free food for us, so it just makes
Right.
it. And the good thing about rejected loads, they deliver them to us for free. So no cost, no nothing. They back into us, we unload them, and then find homes for it.
Wow. And so who are the partners that you have in the community that you're giving this food to that are feeding the communities?
So we work with a lot of churches. United Way is a big one. So United Way gets grants from Jenkins Foundation, Publix Foundation, different things. Then they supply the funds for us to deliver the food. So like even United Way, I think they do 20 something food drops in Polk County. And we just now picked up two other counties, Highlands and Hardy County, which is all together right there. Then we work with a lot of churches, like a lot of churches. So a lot of churches reach out to us, and they have the manpower. So I have box trucks. So we procure the food, then we will deliver the food.
Okay.
And we use refrigerated box trucks with lift gates. So we'll drop them. And like, so we work main time in pallets
Okay.
and do that. So then we work with Polk County Schools, our school boards. So we do like Friday afternoons, kids going home.
Hmm.
So we'll pull a refrigerated box truck in there, and they'll give us a count. So we got 150 families. So we'll prepare 150 boxes for them families to take home. So that way car riders and walk homes can
Hmm.
take food home.
That's amazing. And also heartbreaking that many families are taking that food home, right?
It's people don't know the numbers. A
Yeah.
pretty cool thing we do with schools too is we provide snacks and sports
Mhm.
drinks and that for after school tutoring.
Oh,
And
okay.
it makes kids want to come.
Hmm.
Their tutoring's up. We just implemented this year to where one of the local schools right next to us, we started providing pizza parties and different food items. And we procure sometimes toys and different things. Sometimes it ain't
Hmm.
just food. We get all kinds of stuff. So we've been doing reward programs every month, and their attendance went from like 19%
Hmm.
being perfect attendance up to like 46%.
Wow. That's
Oh yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're a huge part of, like I said, education system and helping these
Hmm.
kids. And it's just simple things. We don't think about it. A
Right.
simple pizza party, a simple,
Right.
food, different things that creates excitement in these kids, and they'll do whatever it takes to get that reward.
Right. So talk about how, like, can you walk through the logistics of delivering these truckloads of food to the different organizations? I mean, I'm assuming that you have a big warehouse, or and how do you mix and match where everything's going, and how big is your team?
Yeah. So really my team, we're actually smaller than people think. Really, we have a couple different buildings. I have an offsite warehouse, which is like 15,000 square, but we work at about 3,000 square foot.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, but we got 7 box trucks. Really, we only have 2.5 employees, me, one other office manager and a warehouse manager. But but the rest of us volunteers. We have anywhere from 5 to 10, 15, 20 volunteers a day. But what we do is so either semi delivers to us or we go pick up. So there's different ways we get stuff. So we get it back to us, then we put it in refrigeration, frozen, then we'll sort it. We'll go through it, and we know each drop's getting 150. So if it's lettuce, 150 lettuce, carrots, 150 carrots, then we palletize that. So that way
Okay.
we do a lot in watermelon bins.
Hmm.
So watermelon bins make it easy because you can put it on a pallet, you can maneuver it, and you can put everything in there. So and if it's frozen refrigerated, we're bagging it per family, that kind of stuff, make it easy on them. Then all our dry products we bring in. We have another building. It's about 3,000 square foot. Like
Hmm.
it's I call 2 houses down from the other warehouse.
Okay.
And really they're churches, but they got extra buildings in them,
Okay.
and we use them pantry kind of deals, but they're 3,000 square foot. But we got one that's like two houses down that we do all our dry goods. So we'll send our dry goods down there, then volunteers to go through and put them in bags. So we'll
Okay.
figure out 5, 6, 8 items in a bag, so they're pre-bagged. Then they go in watermelon bins per 150s. So that way, when your average counts about 150 everything we do. So
Okay.
some different drops are 150, 175, 300. We know what that is, so we're doing that each week. Then when we're sending them out, we got a huge every day we're doing something. So it's just constant,
Right.
logistics and counts and keeping up with it.
Well, that's amazing that you run it on 2.5 staff and all those volunteers.
Yeah.
Um,
So we did 65 million gift in kind last year off 2.5 staff. So yes.
wow. No, okay. So you mentioned costs because you said that when the 18 wheelers, they'll deliver them to you, but there is a
Right.
cost associated with this. And I know that the
Yeah.
Food Donation Improvement Act said that you can um, kind of collect the hard costs, right? Not upcharge or anything like that. How do you pay for all of this?
So I pastor a church. So the church,
Okay.
100% of the tithes and offers that comes to the church goes to Freedom Tour. So nothing stays in there. So that's 100% there. Then we partner with United Way, and they get a lot of grants and do a lot of
Okay.
stuff for us. Then we have just other churches kind of pay us for delivery. So obviously we don't sell food, can't sell food, but so we deliver the product to them. So we make a little money, not make money, but we get money back by, delivery charges.
Okay. Gotcha. So, I mean, this is basically, I mean, a nonprofit that
Right.
the whole goal is just to move from food from one here to somebody's plate, basically.
Yeah, so we take every dollar, we turn it to about $50. So I think last year we brought in roughly $1 million, and we turned in a 65 million gift in kind. So our cost is our insurance like 45,000 a year because we can run 5, 6 box trucks.
Hmm.
Then we have logistics of we broker a lot of loads, so I get a lot of loads from all over the country. So I just look at the
Okay.
value of it. So actually, right before we just started, I got a load out of Georgia. I just accepted it. So I got to broker it from Georgia to here. It cost me about $1,900. So
Okay.
that's my cost in it. Then, like I said, if it's local and smaller loads, we'll send our box trucks. We can hold like 12 pallets in our box trucks. So we'll send them. Some warehouses will load box trucks, some won't. Just depends. So if they won't, then we have to broker a semi to go in there and pull it back to us.
Okay.
Then our fuel cost is about 5, 6, 7,000 a month too in diesel.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. It adds up.
Yeah.
And so those
Yeah.
grants and those donations help a lot. Um, so talk about too the hurricane relief. I mean, do you just take semis to spaces? How does that work when you're doing that?
So we got a refrigerator. Or we got box trucks, so we can hold like
Okay.
12 pallets, and really we hold about 11 pallets. Which and it's easier with a box truck. It's got lift gates on it, so we can pull in a neighborhood. We can pull in somewhere. We're not waiting for a forklift or anything. We can just pallet jack out the back. It's
Hmm.
got ramps on the back, ramp it down, and just unload. Just say if we want to drop a little here, a little there, it helps with
Hmm.
that. So.
Well, that's great because then you're and they're also probably easier to get into spaces that have been,
Yeah, so
yeah.
yeah, a lot of times your semis can't get in and out of these places, but we work directly with our Polk County EOC Emergency Operations Center,
Okay.
so we do it for free. But what we do is everything that comes into Polk County comes to us. So like we got hit by Hurricane Milton last year.
Right.
So pre-storm, I put 10 semi loads of water, 10 semi loads of MREs, 5 semi loads of tarps at my location. Then I got another partner in Lakeland. We sent the same thing to there. So pre-storm, which was never really heard of for even Polk County, a lot of counties, we were sitting on 20 pallets.
Wow.
We had a lot of stuff
Mhm.
pre-storm. Then once a storm hit, we were having semis. We'd order through the EOC, and they would just pump semis into us as much as we could. Then we're taking our box trucks out to the communities, out to the trailer parks that we know that are hitting. So we're working with the EOC. Obviously, I have my office manager in the EOC itself, so she's in there coordinating with fire, rescue,
Mhm.
sheriff's department, all these county officials, city officials. So they know where all the issues are, where all the problems are. But then she's radioing back to us, and we're delivering all that product to them hit areas.
That's an amazing partnership, right? I mean, to have her be able to sit there and then she's radioing your team to say, "Here, go to these places." I mean, that makes me want to cry. I mean, because
Yeah.
because we don't think about it, right?
Well, for one, you don't think about it, and it's rare. And,
Right,
and the reason why, because one reason it's rare is a lot of ministries like, what's in it for me? Well, if you
right.
pay me, I'll go do it. And I'm like, no, people need help. So what the benefit is for me, I get resources. So now I have resources, abundant resources to go in these communities and help these people
Hmm.
and bring hope, which is ultimately
Right.
our job.
So just talking about that hope, are there any stories that stand out to you that you've seen as a result of doing this work?
How many you want?
Yeah.
It's a daily basis. I mean, we've had some where we pull up. So we go to low income motels, low income trailer parks, just people where we know have need. So we pulled in a low income motel here recently, and lady comes out like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "We're here to feed you," and she just starts bawling and crying. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" So, well, I just paid all my money to rent, and I didn't know how I was going to feed my kids and my family. Then all of a sudden, y'all show up.
Right.
So, and that's story after story after story after story. It's like the same way with hurricanes. You pull in hurricanes and they've been without food or water for 3 days. Nobody's knocking on the door. Nobody shows up, and you're showing up. And we didn't know what to do. And it's so cool. We just prayed and we prayed, and all of a sudden y'all just show up. So
Wow.
just many stories like that. So it makes it worth it. It ain't
Hmm.
never to me. Obviously, we run a very tight ship, so we pray for money a lot because it's always tight. Because I never say no. It's always go 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 go. And when people want to donate food and do it, we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll
Hmm.
find a home for it. But a lot of times we just barely get by with finances. But when you
Hmm.
go to that family, that mom, that dad, and you see tears in their eyes, and a lot of times it's grown men. Sometimes grown men you see them. We're not supposed to cry, right? 'Cause we're big and
Right.
tough. But these grown men always getting teary eyed because they didn't know how to feed their family or didn't know what to do, and all of a sudden you're showing up with 6, 8, 10 pallets of food and going, "What do you want?" And it's like, wow. Then they go, "What's the catch?" I'm like, there is no catch, man. We love you. We just want to show you that God loves you, and we're here to bring hope.
That's amazing. There was a story on CBS Sunday morning, I think I saw it, and talking to a woman who lives in those motels in the extended stays, right?
Yeah,
And it's hard to pay. They're more expensive than having a house and a mortgage,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're with that woman's story that she just used all her money to pay rent. This is so. Thank you for that. That's a
Yeah, and
huge.
that's where people, everybody says, "Oh, they need to go get a job."
Mhm.
They don't understand. I mean, people are barely getting by these days, and they're struggling, and I
And they're
mean,
having
things
three
are.
jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them do. Some of them have 2 or 3 jobs, and then you got childcare and you got all this other stuff that adds up, and that's for me. If I can save somebody 50, 100, $200 a week, a month, in their grocery bill, and just help
Mhm.
people out, that's what I want to do.
That's amazing. So the outlook, I mean, from when I was looking up statistics in Polk County, I mean, the numbers are, as you said, they're still there, right?
Yeah.
Of the food insecure, and are there what gaps are you seeing that still need to be that food pantries and like what you're doing are uniquely positioned to fill, and what do you need? Like what other kind of besides the Orange County Convention Center, what other kind of organizations are you looking to, work with to help continue to feed?
Well, there's some bigger entities and bigger things, and unfortunately, I won't get into that. But some of the bigger entities suck up a lot of the stuff that us smaller guys can't get, and they take it. They pull a lot of stuff out of Polk County and take it to like Hillsborough County, which is on the coast, and not near as much comes back into Polk County. But the biggest thing is this: a lot of it's finances. Like there's food all over the country, and it's
Hmm.
value. I mean, like I said, that PFG load. I'll probably get it. If you had to buy that stuff, it's worth 50, 60, $70,000,
Wow.
but it cost me 1,900, 2,000 to ship it from Atlanta to me, then, and it's different things throughout the country. Like I said, some of it's maybe a whole semi load of meats and it might be in Pennsylvania, but if you had to buy it same price, but I can get it here for, $3,000, 3,500 or whatever. So that's our biggest value. So really a lot of times it's just the finances and money, getting this stuff and like things like convention center, open doors, which we're fixing to lose. We pull a lot out of Kroger, and
Hmm.
Kroger in Groveland, Lake County, I think is shut. They just said shutting down in January,
The
and that's
grocery store itself is shutting down.
well, it's not a grocery store.
Oh,
We don't have we don't have Kroger's in Florida, but what we
okay.
do have is we have warehouses, but they do delivery. So you online order it, then their trucks, smaller trucks show up at your door. But I guess obviously they weren't making money, so they're shutting that down in January. And literally that was probably sometimes a semi-load a week of just mixed vegetables and mixed breads and different things that's maybe going away. So
Wow. Yeah. Well, and I remember seeing something on one of the socials the other day that somebody's like, "Oh, well, you're using your WIC money or your SNAP money to order through, through the online portals, and but you can't, it's actually only the food that you can buy through that. And some people are immobile, so they can't, that's the only way they can order.
Well, I say this a lot. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. The old saying, there are some people who take advantage, or some people are not. And there's some people, you just don't know the situations.
Mm-hmm.
We run into a lot of times in our field, people want to come to us and go, "Hey, we need to teach people how to eat better." I said, "Okay." That's what I did. There's a program called Books and Cooks. So what they do is they give you free books and you come and sign up, but then they'll, you know, give you a meal and different things,
Mm-hmm.
but they also teach nutrition, get you to come nutrition classes kind of deal and give you different meals and that kind of stuff. So we had a couple of ladies reach out to us, "Hey, we want to do nutrition classes." I said, "Well, what you really need to do is look at how these people live. You're doing nutrition classes as you live in your 3 bedroom, 2 bath, full stove, microwave, refrigerator. Let me take you to these low income motels." And they go there and go, "Wow." Some of them are just cooking on little bitty grills that are, probably
Mm-hmm.
your little bitty backyard grills they have. And that's all they have. They have just a microwave. So I understand what you're trying to do, but these people don't have the ovens and everything you're thinking of. So
Right.
sometimes we get caught up in our lives, especially the middle class. They get caught up in our lives and how we live. We think everybody lives that way, and they don't see the 20-30% that they drive by every day that don't have the necessity. We call them necessities, but
Right.
necessities of life. So
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember when I lived in Atlanta for a long time, and looking at, you can take your money and go to the farmer's market, right? And use your WIC dollars or your SNAP money there. But at the same time, they pick up a vegetable and they don't necessarily have the knife to cut that vegetable, or, just exactly like you said, of how to prepare that vegetable.
yeah.
So it's a whole circle. It's full circle.
Yeah, I mean, some of them don't have cars. They don't have any kind of mobility. They live in
Mhm.
some of them are just single moms. They walk. I mean, we run that single moms a lot. They're walking to work. They're walking back from work. They got kids going to school, this kind of stuff. And, I mean, I know it's easy for us sometimes to look and go, well, we said, you need to get a job. You need to do this, you need to do that. But they don't understand the whole circumstances behind everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I want to change the topic a little bit. When to food safety, how do you handle when you're doing? I know you've got your box trucks and everything like that. So when you're collecting and sorting and distributing donated across long distances and things like that, do you? This is going to be a random question. Do you get inspected by the health department? How does
We
all
don't, but
food safety handle?
Be- because we're a church, we're a church,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. We're not USDA deal, so
Okay.
we don't have to do that. But we try to do best we can. I mean, obviously,
Hmm.
we try to keep refrigerated that. But we've learned during COVID. COVID was so much, so insane, so hot summer that you're getting refrigerated stuff and you're getting it out of the truck to hand out, and it's sitting out there for a little long time. But we never had nobody come back and get sick or complain or that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. And probably unfortunately, but fortunately, there's so many chemicals in food these days. I mean, the bad thing, but the good thing is
Right.
preservatives, that food lasts a lot longer. And even because we get that all the time, is even my wife's that way. We'll take let's do dinner on the grill tonight. So I get meat out, set in the refrigerator. Well, I changed my mind. So I'm just going to throw it away. So why are you going to throw it away? Put it in the freezer. You can't do that. I said, why? I've done it my whole life. We do it all the time. But just different people. People have different mindsets of food safety, and I
Hmm.
grew up poor, and so you did what you had to do, and so and a lot of people we deal with poverty, so they don't care if it's been a little warm or not be warm. They go home, cook it, and and make do with it.
Right. What can because this is Eating at a Meeting podcast, and we're talking, and I'm really curious too about the convention centers and the partners. And before we started, you also said that you've gotten from the convention center from trade shows that are food oriented shows, and that can you talk about what you think event planners and venues need to understand about donating the surplus food in terms of helpful and what isn't helpful?
Well, as long as it ain't rotten, it's helpful. There's so many people out there, and so many organizations that are willing to come pick it up, and I think that's the biggest stigmatism. Whatever they think, oh, nobody's gonna come get this, nobody wants this, but man, like the conversation we had earlier, sometimes we get stuff in bulk, even like a coffee creamer or something, and you're like, nobody's going to want this, but you'll be for everybody to take it. They're, very innovative. They'll take it and they'll put it in a jar, put it in a bag, whatever that is, Ziploc bag or something, and utilize it. I think I hate to use this, but we're so middle class that we just think everything, you know, comes right off public shelves and goes into a refrigerator and we cook it. And that's where everybody, like you said, safety and standard. And so many people have safety and standards. And a lot of these poor people don't have any of that kind of stuff. They might buy something in the grocery store or the farmer's market, take it home and sit on the counter half a day till they get time to cook it because they don't have refrigeration in their motels or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And different things. And I think we're so sometimes safety conscious that we throw so much away. But there's legislations out there. We talked about earlier, I don't remember the name, but that protects the donor from getting sued.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many, like I said, and there's so many nonprofits and ministries we get hundreds of phone calls a week from churches and ministries. How can you help? Because they see how big we are and what we do. How can we get food from you? How can we get food from you? How do you do what you do? Where do you get food from? And there's just such a need out there in every aspect, not just need, the needy people, but there's needy ministries that need stuff to feed the people. And there's so much need that, people are willing to do whatever it takes
Mm-hmm.
to go pick up food and get food.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
So when you got convention centers, yeah, I mean, whether it's, like at convention centers, they do like Walmart do a trade show, so all their big vendors bring all their stuff in and they pick out what they want to put on the shelf. So then,
Right.
the convention center call us and sometimes it's semi loads, all kinds. I mean, you're talking anything and everything, you know,
Mm-hmm.
from beef jerky to candy to
Yeah.
your spinach to celery, all that stuff that goes on your shelves at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's perfect product that would be sold to Walmart, on their shelves, but obviously it gets donated to us. So,
Right.
but even the ones that they're feeding people, they're making hot meals and doing that. And they're like, nobody's going to eat this, or, we're just going to, it's been out, 5-6 hours. We're going to throw it away. And like, no, you'll be surprised how many ministries go and collect that and go feed people with it. And people are very, very, I mean, no matter what you do, you're going to have 10% that complain. I've already learned that in life. You give them $1 million and ain't going to be enough.
Right.
But the 90% are very, very appreciative. And they'll tell you, even the families or the ministries, we'll take everything you got.
Thank you. I mean, and I think that's really, really important because it is, how do we utilize that food? It can be used, it could be cooked, it could be reutilized in a variety of different ways. So how do we maximize that? And how do we look at what we're doing and what we're preparing and then donating it? Because those donors can do something with it, as well as the people who are getting it. So I appreciate that perspective.
But you just reiterate a little bit, so many corporations and people
Mm-hmm.
are so caught up in food safety. They're
Right.
so scared you're going to get food poisoning, so scared somebody's going to get sick. But I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I've seen stuff. We get stuff, and just because it come in on a semi and we had no place to put it, and I created a tech system. So I did, because COVID got so big, so
Right.
huge, and difficult to manage, to what I did. Whether you're in a city or municipality or whatever, you got a certain text number, which then I group people in 50, 90s, 100s, 300s, 500s, whatever. So if I got a semi-load, just say semi-load pulled in day, I know where to store it. But we'll just say it's a semi-load of cabbage. And obviously I've got nowhere to store it. It can't,
Mm-hmm.
you got to get rid of it. So I'll do a text. So we'll unload the semi, it's sitting out. We'll try to get it in the shade the best we can and just do a quick text. And sometimes it's 2-3 hours, but people take it and it's still good. But a lot of people, it's been out in the sun for 2 hours. You just got to throw it away. I'm like, no, I haven't had one person come back and go, hey, we're sick. Especially COVID was insane. 2 or 3 years of that. And just showed that it was a perfect example of, not that we know of, nobody come back, got sick, nobody complained or that. And it's just different. It's the old smell test, right? You get home with it, it's bad, smell it, throw it away. It's like old milk,
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Used to, when we were kids, you took milk, you smelled it, right? You may poured a little bit, smelled it.
Right.
It was bad, you threw it away. Now we just look at the date and the date's bad and we just throw it away.
And I know there's legislation out there trying to change those that use by and by dates.
Because that's all a marketing scheme, whether people want to believe that or not. That's all, Because what does the average American do? They throw it away and they go buy something else.
Hmm.
Compared to back when we were kids, like I said,
Yeah.
you smelled it, check if it's still
Yeah.
good, it stays in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
So that's more of a marketing scheme. That's what we get a lot of stuff that's Best Buy or out of date, and
Hmm.
it's probably 50% of what we get, and
Wow.
we give it away. And I use the example of this. I mean, how many times you ever went to your freezer and grabbed a pizza out and it was 6 months, 8 months, a year old,
Right.
and you threw it, you cooked it and you ate it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a deer hunter, so we'll shoot a deer and I'll throw it in the freezer, and I might not eat a 2 or 3 deer. I mean, I'll kill 4 or 5 a year, so I might be eating on the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Right.
Because really, like frozen has no really expiration date at all.
Yeah, as long as it's maintained that frozen status. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
So
that's I thank you so much for what you do. It's just mind blowing about how much you're helping people. What what would be an ideal partnership for you, like looking at this for convention centers and other organizations? I mean, especially since that Kroger distribution center is potentially going to close or is closing. What do you want to fill that with? What kind of organization would you love to fill that with?
There's a lot of them. I mean, we'd love to get in Publix, but Publix is, there's a big entity out there called Feeding America, which unfortunately they feed a lot of people, but they suck up a lot of food from different, smaller, independent food and more organizations and banks. But, there's a lot of them out there. You got Publix, you got Aldi's, you got Winn-Dixie's. And like I said, people don't know this, but really I wouldn't use the word fight or a battle
Hmm.
over trying to get food. I mean, really, it's because the needs out there so bad. People are doing so much that it's almost a battle trying to get in these places. And then when you get in there, you got to keep. It's the reason why I'll never say no. So I don't care if a semi driver calls me at midnight, 2 in the morning, or a warehouse calls me on a Saturday or Sunday.
Hmm.
I'll find a way to get it and unload it, because if not, they're going to the next person, and you may never hear or see from them ever again.
Wow. Okay.
But it is. There's a big. It's a like I said, it's a challenge to get in these organizations,
Hmm.
and it's a challenge, to not just keep them, but just keep everybody out. Because
Right.
everybody, how do you do what you do? And I can tell them, but I don't want to give them all the details because what
Yeah.
happens is they're in there trying to get your donor away from you. And you'll be surprised is if you think ministry and food and you don't think that, but there's we call it the back door. So many people will backdoor you, and try to
Wow.
find out your donor and take your donor away from you. That it's actually not very nice. We'll say that.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
it is.
Like you're all trying to do the same thing, right? Yeah.
Well, so what happens is obviously the more you do,
Hmm.
the more the notoriety you get, the bigger the name you get, then obviously the bigger financial donors you get. So now you got financial donors, so you're trying to do more and get more, and
Hmm.
it keeps it's in reality it's a nonprofit business, but really it's a business in a sense, because you're trying to grow and you're doing more than you're fighting for product and
Right.
um different things. So yeah, it's really a nitty gritty behind the scenes sometimes that people don't know or see. So
Okay.
it's not
Thank
easy
you.
to get in these places.
No, I bet not. Well, and I can understand that from the planner perspective too, is because as a planner, I'm like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I donate all my food at the end of the conference, anything that's prepared and not served. Well, no, we can't do that because we'll get sued. Right.
Right.
And so they don't want to
Yes.
take the effort for that. And I think it's important to understand, for them to understand where you can come in and help them do that. Right. And
Yeah.
manage that and collect it for them.
Well, so one is there's legislation now where you can't sue, for
Right.
donation food. You can't sue, can't get sued. But two, um, you're going to throw it in a dumpster, which is cost. It's costing some. You got the time, the
True.
effort of going, throw it in trash, get in trash, and throw it in a dumpster. Compared to us, we'll leave it on a pallet. We'll come pick it up. We'll pallet jack in there, move it for you, whatever that is. So
Mhm.
it helps a lot of warehouses, a lot of people. You get donation receipts too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Tax write-off receipts. We'll give you donation
Mhm.
receipts, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of times, what it gets into, where I benefit from compared to other ministries, is well, it's Thanksgiving. Everybody's closed, or like the whole week of Thanksgiving, a lot of ministries close. So we stay open for that reason. So when somebody calls us, hey, we'll come. But my question is back to trying to get food. If I come during Thanksgiving, I want you to still help me out during the year because I'm going to help you out, kind of deal.
Right.
So but it is. So that's we get a lot just because the willingness to Saturdays, Sundays, midnight, 2 in the mornings, and like a lot of our local organizations, they'll call us. I'll say, I'll be here in 30 minutes. They're like, do what? I say, yeah, I'll send a guy right now.
Wow.
And that's what makes a difference, customer service and doing that. A lot of ministries, don't want to do that. So what donors on your end, you're talking, the struggle they run into sometimes is, the local church shows up in a minivan, they can't hold but 6 boxes and
Right.
you got 16 pallets sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thing is it don't matter if you got 6 pallets or 6 cases, we're willing to come pick it up because somewhere it turns into 16 pallets,
Right. Yeah. Because that food multiplies when you create meals. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to it, and I thank you for tackling it. It's amazing.
There's a lot to it. People don't
Yeah.
understand that. So
Yeah.
especially, the 3 years of COVID, I call it, we were 7 days, 16, 20 hours a day, just running nonstop. And it wasn't, COVID wasn't just food. So I was hand sanitizer and wipes and bleach and cleaning supplies and, a product called Clorox 360, which fought COVID. There's so much to that, but there was just so much available and they would ship a lot of stuff to you for free. So it was just steady moving and shaking and just doing it. And obviously now, unfortunately, our government seems like that every year they create some kind of pandemic of some sort.
Of some sort, yes, it
Of
does
some
look like
sort.
that.
So,
Yeah.
or disaster hurricanes. Florida this year we've been, exceptionally great. We ain't had it, but the last 3, 4, 5 years it seems like at least minimum 1 to 3 a year somewhere affecting Florida. So,
and the recovery takes a lot longer than just, hey, the storm is gone. Now,
well, that's what, and that's what people don't understand. So, some people unfortunately live by the news, so they think, oh, the news ain't reporting it. People are done. No, there's, people still struggling that don't even have a house no more, don't have roofs no more, don't have power no more, and that sometimes goes on for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time. Or just like the most perfect example was like when Hurricane Helene come through, it hit Florida before it hit you guys. But news was just all North Carolina, North Carolina, North Carolina, North Carolina. And people would call me, man, what are you doing in North Carolina? I said, I sent stuff there, but I'm Florida first. And buddy, Florida got hit by, these 2 back-to-back hurricanes,
Right.
It was Helene and another one, Idalia, I think, or Helene and Idalia, or whatever. I can't remember. There were 2 back-to-back that we got hit by. But the news was in North Carolina, so they think, oh, there's no issues in Florida. But, there's a lot of people without power and houses and still struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't, just because the storm's gone, doesn't mean that the need is gone. Yeah. Well, so again, thank you so much for what you do. I have a couple of rapid fire questions for you.
Yes, ma'am. Give them to me.
What is your most in-demand item on mobile teams on Give Out? Teams Give Out.
The funny thing is I wouldn't think about it, is fresh fruits and vegetables.
Okay. All right.
Kids, I was a kid. I wanted a Dorito, the ice cream, or, the pizza. But when you pull up with fresh grapes, especially like grapes and just like watermelon or different things, fresh fruits and vegetables, it's crazy. The kids and families get excited over that.
That's awesome.
They never get it. They all, obviously to eat healthy is so expensive.
Right.
So when you show up with grapes and peaches and strawberries, they get so excited over that.
And you've got all that kind of fruits and vegetables in Florida too, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Kroger was a big part of that. So we'll see how God works that one out. But, we used to get, 4, 5, 6, 8 pallets a week from Kroger, fruits, vegetables, grapes, that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. What's your favorite on the road tool or piece of equipment that you use to make all of this work?
Electric pallet jacks.
Okay.
Electric, they're just walk behind battery operated pallet jacks. So we put everything in watermelon bins on pallets. So we run that pallet jack in there, lift it up. It's, electric up, electric out, ramp down. You can put it in a parking lot, run it around. Then so our goal is kind of make it acceptable and decent sometimes. So we let people shop. So each watermelon bin might have something different in it. So one's got bread, one's got pastries, one's got fruits and vegetables, one might have meat. So we'll get that electric pallet jack them into the parking lot, set them up, let them walk through, grab something, and go. Then we can pallet jack them right back in the truck.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, your volunteers. How many volunteers do you have? And in one word, how would you describe your volunteers?
Resilient, faithful. So we have anywhere from 5 to 20 volunteers. I got 5 that are faithful every day. And
wow.
Funny thing is, most of them are 60s or 70 years old, women.
Wow.
Yeah. And they come in there. I got one lady, she is 77, and she'll outwork them all. And she hustles
That's awesome.
and just goes and every day shows up, and she'll show up before some of them and leave after all of them. But they're faithful, resilient and faithful is the 2 words I'd say, willing to do whatever it takes.
Okay. All right. 2 more questions. The most rewarding moment you've experienced delivering food?
Just seeing faces light up, tears come down their eyes when the mom or the kid says, we didn't know what we had to eat or could eat. And all of a sudden we prayed, then literally we just prayed and you show up.
Wow. That's heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to thank you 5 zillion times for doing what you're doing. All right. And the final question is, finish the sentence. Every meal should
bring hope to a family.
Okay. I love that. Now, how can everybody get a hold of you?
www.thefreedomtour.org.
Okay.
So it's www.thefreedomtour.org, or 863-247-3256, is our office number. So, go on our website there. You go to website, Facebook, that kind of stuff. Mind us messages.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And thank you for doing this. I called you on Monday, right?
Yeah. Call me on Monday. Go, hey, we need to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
yeah.
Let's go. So,
all right. Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Because, my biggest thing is we don't do what we do for notoriety. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody to know what I do, but ultimately you need to know what people do because of, donors and people giving back. Because a lot of people, they look at nonprofits and they hear the bad news of nonprofits or the bad news of, people not doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So people want to hear about people doing the right thing for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. So people like you give me that opportunity to say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. We do it all at the end of the day, free, to the end consumers, free to them, don't cost them a dime, no offerings, no nothing. It's just, we just go out and give just to see smiles and bring hope to families.
That's a good thing. Very, very good thing. So Bobby Williams with the Freedom Tour. Again, go to thefreedomtour.org online and check them out and see how you can help and be one of those resilient and volunteers that he has. So yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to highlight companies just like people and companies just like Bobby and the Freedom Tour that are feeding our communities and with where we meet. So until then, next time, stay safe and eat well.
Thanks for listening to the Eating at a Meeting podcast, where every meal matters. I'm Tracy Stuckrath, your food and beverage inclusion expert. Call me and let's get started right now on creating safe and inclusive food and beverage experiences for your customers, your employees, and your communities. Share the podcast with your friends and colleagues at our Eating at a Meeting Facebook page and on all podcast platforms. To learn more about me and receive valuable information, go to tracystuckrath.com. And if you'd like more information on how to feed engagement, nourish inclusion, and bolster your bottom line, then visit eatingatameeting.com.